What's up, everybody? It's Jimmy and Wals here with the CLT Life. Welcome to the show. What's up, Wals?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, hanging out. Just wrapped up Thanksgiving last week, so
yeah, food was plentiful.
yeah,
I had a good time. Saw lots of family, some friends.
ate too much food.
Yeah, ate too much food. Still eating too much food. So it was a good time.
Yeah, that's what we do on Thanksgiving. So yeah, actually, I controlled myself a little bit more this year than I usually do.
We were talking about that.
We talked about that on the last show, and for the main meal, I controlled myself. We had some appetizers and stuff.
Right.
I
did that.
I did. My wife makes this really good spinach artichoke dip, so I had some of that. My mom made these brie brie cake things, like in a puff pastry.
Yeah, I like
brie and cranberry and a puff pastry. So I had some of that stuff before, and then usually I'm just all about the sides, and usually I don't even really care about the turkey too much. But for whatever reason, I was feeling the turkey.
How'd your mother-in-law cook the turkey?
Baked it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it was baked. It was I feel like lots of times the turkey comes out dry, but it was tender, it was juicy, it was good. We had some more the next day. But actually I made one plate and I didn't go back for seconds.
Yeah, me neither.
And I didn't even get to taste everything.
Really?
So that's usually my downfall is I'll go back. The second plate will be the stuff I didn't fit on the plate the first time. So
I think that's just getting older because
getting wiser, maybe
older and wiser.
But we still had dessert later on, and that's what put me over the top. So
for sure, made me feel stuffed.
Yeah, I went home, my back was hurting. You ate too much food when your back is hurting, right?
Back's not supposed to hurt.
Back's not supposed to hurt. So, but yeah, man, it was a good day, good sports day. So there's some great football games on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, actually on Thursday. I had to think back to that. But Thursday was good.
Yeah, the Bills and the Lions. That went right down to the wire. Bills had to kick a game-winning field goal at the end.
Right, Bills.
Cowboys beat the Giants.
Yep.
I think that was actually a decent.
Yeah, I mean,
I wasn't too close.
It wasn't close. I think the Cowboys, solidly handled them. And then
Minnesota and the Patriots. That was like a 6-point game.
Another good game. Yeah, it came down to. I think it came down to the end a little bit. Like it was within a 1-score game at the end. So yeah, it was a great day of sports.
So Minnesota Vikings, they've got the second best record in the NFL right now. I mean, second best record in the NFC. Mm-hmm. The Eagles, I think, are 10-1, and the Vikings are what, 9-2 now? So yeah, I know they're a 2-loss team for sure. So I mean, are those the two best teams in the NFC, you think, or
I don't. I mean, I think the Vikings. I would in a game against the Vikings, if another team had a better quarterback, I'd probably, when it comes down to it, in the playoffs, or late in the season, I'd say I'd take Dallas probably over the Vikings. They just manhandled the Vikings.
Yeah.
So I'd probably take Dallas, possibly even the 49ers head to head.
That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. Is I was the team I was thinking of that's maybe one of the most dangerous, or maybe the most dangerous in the NFC. I feel like is the 49ers right now. They got a great defense. Jimmy G is running that offense well. They've got a ton of weapons. They got Deebo Samuel. They've got George Kittle. They got who's other?
Christian McCaffrey.
Well, obviously Christian McCaffrey. I was gonna say him. Save him for last. The other receiver,
Brandon Ayuk.
Brandon Ayuk. He's dangerous. But yeah, Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell is playing well too for the running back spot. So I feel like they're a dangerous team, and the Cowboys are definitely coming into their own.
Cowboys are rounding the format. You got to think Dak missed a quarter of the season. At least, essentially
5 or 6 games. Yeah, I think they were 5. They were 5-1. They lost their first game, and then with Cooper Rush, I believe they won 5 games in a row.
Right, and so Dak had to get back in the saddle and sort of, pardon the pun, he had to get back in the saddle and sort of find his way.
Cowboys,
yeah, there you go. And find his way as the leader of the team, which it was never in doubt, but just you got to get back in there and start playing and. The whole team gets in a rhythm, offense, defense, special team. I'm big on rhythm, and I know, and I say it a lot because I know it to be true that life is rhythm. And so, these sports teams, when they get out of whack and get out of rhythm, like we were talking about just ourselves day to day, getting out of rhythm is tough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you make changes, especially quarterback, the offensive coordinator has to change how they call plays. It affects the defense a little bit, special teams, not as much, but it's still, it still affects the whole team when you make changes like that, especially at quarterback. So, yeah, Dak's coming into his own and he's playing well for the most part. And the running game is the running game.
Yeah.
That strong offensive line and their defense.
I mean, when Zeke
really
is
solid.
Arguably your second best running back.
Right.
And I mean, you got a strong running
game. Running back controversy. And, but no, but the offensive line is so stout. They create those big running lanes. They're just in a good flow right now. Good play calling.
Well, yeah, and football is definitely a game of momentum. So
yeah, for sure. And just good teams, even less talented teams that have more cohesion and have played well consistently throughout the season. As the season wears on, good teams tend to play well, and so sometimes a less talented team can sort of sneak up on a team that maybe favored just because they're in a good groove and they've been playing as a unit all season long, and the more talented team may be out of sorts for one reason or another.
I'll tell you, a game this past weekend as well that really caught my eye was the Jaguars and the Ravens. That was a game that I had the Ravens, even though it was in Jacksonville, I had the Ravens winning, pretty handily and decisively in that one. And Trevor Lawrence is in his second year out of Clemson. He was overwhelming number one pick. Right. Can't miss prospect, supposed to be the best NFL quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck came out.
Right.
And last year, with Urban Meyer at the helm and all the distractions he had, didn't really produce that much. Now they got Doug Peterson at coach. That team is a young team that seems to be kind of coming into form. They're similar to the Panthers. I think they're the same record, like 4-8. But he had a 4-touchdown game, and he led the Jaguars offense down the field after, I think, the Ravens had taken a 27-20 lead with like 2-3 minutes to go. He took on a 9-play drive, 70-some yards down the field, 7 out of 9, threw a touchdown pass, and then they went for 2.
And
he got a touchdown pass, 2-point conversion pass as well. And it was like, that was like the game that validated him, because you're thinking about quarterbacks and the Panthers, we're talking about, are we going to get one of these top 2 quarterbacks? And the way we're playing now, we're probably playing ourselves out of the top 2.
Out of the top 2
pick.
Okay, because there's more than 2 quarterbacks.
There's more than 2 quarterbacks out there, but the question is, so one thing is, if we end up getting one of these top quarterbacks and they come in and play right away, as a rookie, they're probably not going to be the savior right away. They might be long term.
Yeah,
but
it's going to be tough. The most important thing is that they have the right mindset. You see somebody like Zach Wilson, who just doesn't have the right with the Jets, just doesn't have the right mindset, and whether he has the physical tools or not, who knows? But mentally, the game's a little fast for him, and then his attitude's not great, so it sets him back as a player. And so I think that would be the most important thing for whoever the Panthers draft is that they're accountable, they're a good character guy, they're coming in ready to work, all the things that matter besides how you play on the field. And then when you get on the field, that you're able to soak it up and learn from your mistakes and keep moving forward and getting better. That's what'll matter. So, and it's hard to predict how a guy's going to be in that capacity. But
that's the thing. Yeah, you could be a top overall pick.
Right.
Baker Mayfield was number 1 overall pick.
Right.
Sam Darnold was number 4 overall pick.
3 or 4,
in the same exact draft, and we see how their careers have turned out. Though,
well, Sam looked really comfortable.
So I was
way more comfortable than we've seen Baker Mayfield all season.
Yeah.
Darnold had poise, and he looked like he'd been there before. Is how he started last season. So it's not a surprise. The key, or I think what anybody who's a Panthers fan would like to see, is consistency. And going back to the Jaguars game, funny you mentioned that because you see the difference a quarterback makes because we held the Jaguars to 13 points. And
the Ravens.
I mean, yeah, the Ravens to 13 points. Right. And
we only scored the touchdown when they had that short field.
They had a short field after the fumble.
Yeah.
Kyle Smith fumble, I think. And so but instead of having Trevor Lawrence lead you on a game-winning drive, get a 2-point conversion, we had Baker Mayfield throw multiple interceptions, right, against the same defense.
Right.
Both games were away games for the Ravens. We were in Baltimore. Yeah. So, which is even tougher, right? Which is even tougher, and I get it. It's it was windy, and it was, conditions weren't great.
Baker, I think the shoulder. I think.
Yeah. Well, if you see Sam, he's got a lot more velocity.
Sam, yeah. Well, yeah. Watching Sam throw, he's taller. He's a bigger guy.
Right.
Yeah, he's throwing balls with a lot more velocity and accurate, and he was getting the ball out on time. And he's behind. He's behind a lot better line right now.
Yeah.
I remember making the comment yesterday. He didn't see any ghosts.
No,
he was not seeing ghosts. He was not seeing ghosts yesterday. He looked calm and confident back there. He was pretty
efficient. I think he only threw it 18 times.
11 out of 19 for like 160 something, I think.
And so that was really efficient.
We ran the ball well again.
185 yards rushing. Foreman was a big part of that.
Chuba had over 50 yards.
Chuba had over 50.
Blackshear played a little bit too.
Yep, Blackshear played just a little bit. He's good in the return game, which is awesome.
Yeah, he had the one mistake. He tried to come up and catch a low punt. The announcers, I remember saying he was running into the sun.
Right.
So
just let it go.
Just let it go. Yeah.
In that instance.
Let it go.
So frozen.
Yeah. But so yeah, the thing with Darnold throwing the ball, it makes you wonder. So the way he throws the ball, so he holds the ball on, he holds on to the ball for too long. He gets those happy feet. Baker does.
Yeah, for sure.
He gets those happy feet. He feints like he's going to throw, and then it's almost like, hey, I'm going to throw you the ball, and then he throws the ball.
Like he's not trusting what he sees.
Yeah, the ball does not have the velocity, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Cam several years ago after he had the shoulder issues, where he lost all velocity. I can remember him, like he would almost have to like put his whole body into it, and
Baker
the ball
does too.
Was just floating. And then you see Darnold come out, and you see like the crispness,
yes,
very crisp throws, and it's like he's throwing darts. And I mean, he had that deep ball to the DJ on the sidelines, 52-yard completion,
perfectly thrown ball. And some of the other passes I watched, like you said, they were, and even the touchdown pass to DJ was a touch pass.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a touch pass. He
floated it, left corner.
He had to throw it to a spot and let DJ, sort of run under it or run to it.
Yeah.
And he did that perfectly. Because you have a defender on DJ's heels, so you can't be late. You can't throw it behind him. And you got the sideline that he's running towards while he's in the end zone. So you have to get it to him before he's at the sideline, but keep it away from the defender. And he did that perfectly. So
timing throw, touch throw, all that.
Timing, touch, deep ball, that and I guess those are the things people saw that made him, the third pick in the draft. But with the Jets, I think mentally he just sort of lost who he was and that confidence. And then last year, obviously, with us, he started well, then sort of,
our line, we didn't have a terrible
line.
Offensive line last year.
And did you notice they were saying, who was it? Bozeman was the only lineman who hadn't started every game this season. So we're gonna have one lineman who was out there yesterday who hadn't started every game of the season. I think.
I did hear that. Yeah, because Pat Alpline was the starter initially at center,
right?
Because Bozeman wasn't healthy at the beginning of the year.
But I think Alpline wasn't. He was supposed to be starting anyway.
I was thinking that Bozeman was going to be the guy coming in. And Bozeman was from the Ravens, right?
Right. Yeah.
Corbett that came over at guard from the Rams, Super Bowl winning, guard last year.
Right.
You got Ike Ekwonu, who's playing great. He had a baptism by fire week
Right,
one,
yeah, but
against the Browns. But
then he's Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett, yeah, I mean, welcome to the NFL.
Yeah, definitely a moment. And then
Taylor Moton solid at right tackle,
Moton was,
and Christensen at guard.
and Brady Christian. So yeah, so the line has been a bright spot for us for sure, and the continuity that they've shown. And again, that's what you get when guys get to play together for a whole season, get that cohesion, and it matters. It matters sometimes, as much as talent.
So talking momentum, we were talking about momentum earlier, and now the Panthers have a bye week coming up. So can we build on that momentum that we have right now? We've won 2 out of 3 games. We had that poor showing against Cincinnati a few weeks ago. We rebounded with the win against the Falcons. Should have beaten the Falcons,
right?
And then had a real letdown game against the Bengals.
Yeah,
beat the Falcons and exhibited the style of play that I think is the most effective way for the Panthers to play.
For sure.
That, just aggressive, downhill, physical football. And then this past week, then we went up to Baltimore. That was a tight game. Yeah, one mistake by Shi Smith with the fumble essentially cost us that game. And then this week we come back and we run the ball. So, what's the future? So a couple of questions. One, Wilks has done a great job coming in.
Done a
really good job. He's 3-4 right now. Could easily be 4-3 in his first 7 games. Matt Rule, by the way, just signed an 8-year deal with Nebraska, so he's going back to the college.
He's their problem now.
Yeah. Well, I think he's more of a college guy. So
he is. No,
I wish him well. I wish him success in Nebraska.
I don't like how he handled the Panthers job. I did, the personnel. I don't like how he handled the quarterback position, particularly.
I don't think he was fit for the NFL working with grown men.
Yeah, and maybe not, because he did tend to have. They said he coddled Sam Darnold. The decisions he made with Cam at the beginning, the way they unceremoniously let Cam go, and then for whatever reason, he and Teddy Bridgewater weren't on the same page. So maybe it is. When these guys are your equal, when they're grown men, it's harder for it. I don't know.
And he also came in. This is he was making the media rounds last week. Interestingly, he was on NFL Good Morning last week, and so he was talking on these NFL shows. And now he signs to be a college coach. But he was saying how when he first got the job, when he came on, it was at the beginning of COVID.
True.
So teams were meeting virtually.
Right.
You're in person, you had to wear a mask.
Right.
And he was saying that kind of hurt him as far as building relationships with the players.
Yeah. And look, I don't know whose decision it was, the game plan, the offensive game plan, some of those things. Aside from just choosing the right quarterback or choosing a quarterback and sort of sticking with it, this season, Foreman should have been running the ball. I know you want to get, put McCaffrey in the slot if you need to. Get more creative. You know what I mean? And Chenault should be touching the ball on occasion.
100%.
Should be touching the ball. So things like that, I feel like also maybe he was just so uncomfortable that he couldn't get to those decisions because he just had so much on his plate and so much on his mind, knowing that he's coaching for a job.
Was that on him or is that on McAdoo?
I'm not sure. I mean, ultimately it's the head coach's responsibility to say, look, we got these guys that need to touch the ball. So if Foreman, if we want to pound it with Foreman, then we also should bring in McCaffrey and throw him out in the formation. And, then we can run play action out of that. We can use him as a decoy. We
Put
can
two guys in the backfield, run the pistol with.
Right. And so even my wife noticed that this week, Darnold was under center a lot more than Mayfield was. And part of that was just
not always in shotgun.
Yeah, not always in shotgun. She noticed it, and which I thought was an astute observation, but she noticed that he was under center more. And I said, well, the advantage is, or at least one of them, when you want to run the ball, the running back gets the ball going downhill and doesn't have to wait for the shotgun snap and then sort of that zone read. He gets the ball, he can hit the hole and make a decision. And Foreman is really good at making quick lateral movements right at the line of scrimmage, he's much better than Hubbard is, at making those quick lateral movements that get you an extra 3 or 4 yards because there's, these big defensive linemen in your hole, in your lane. And so you have to make a split-second decision and then continue to get upfield.
And then he gets downfield, yeah.
And he does that. He does that really well. And so anyway, going under center, doing that kind of stuff, like these are little wrinkles that make a big difference. And the line between winning and losing in the NFL is really thin.
Yeah.
All these guys are really talented, so it comes down a lot of times to coaching. And so I think ultimately it's the head coach's decision, and I think Rule was just sort of in over his head at times and maybe overwhelmed by all of the decisions that he needed to make.
So if he continues to play like he did this past week, and stays healthy, is Darnold the starter for the rest of the season? We got 6 games left, how many games are we going to win? And then what does that say for the quarterback situation going forward? If we're out of that top two or 3 picks, there's the big 3 they call them right now with Bryce Young and CJ Stroud and Will Levis from Kentucky. There's the big 3, quote unquote, and then there's other guys out there. There's Hendon Hooker, who is going to have to take a redshirt year because he just tore his ACL.
Right.
There's
Richardson down in Florida.
Yeah, Richardson. He reminds me of Cam a little bit.
He does remind. Yeah.
So he's a little more raw, I think.
He's got a cannon.
He's got a cannon for an arm. He can run. He's big.
Yeah. I like Richardson.
I like Richardson a lot from what I've seen too. Some of the things I've said or have read, I haven't watched Florida play a whole lot, but I basically just said as far as I guess the style of play that Florida has, like he's not had to be as advanced as far as like making reads and stuff like that. So
I watched him go through some progressions.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like Lamar to me. He looks like a mix of Lamar and Cam. Yeah, like to me, that's what I see.
So what do you think about having like whoever we end up picking? If we pick do we automatically have to pick a quarterback with the first pick? And then the second question is, are we good with Sam Darnold being the bridge quarterback next year and eventually being the long-term backup? And
yes and yes. And we have Matt Corral.
We have Matt Corral too.
So, and if he can
you won't be that young in the quarterback room where you just have a second-year player who's never played and a rookie. You gotta have some veteran presence.
No. I mean, you keep 3, right? So you probably,
maybe PJ's the guy.
Jacob, I don't think PJ's the guy. I like PJ, and you definitely draft a quarterback
with the first pick.
You draft a quarterback, first round. Go get a quarterback. I think some people say Will Anderson out of Alabama. I can see that as well.
Will Anderson out of
yeah, the linebacker.
Gotcha.
Linebacker. Some people think we should go because we're kind of thin at linebacker and we could use that defensive presence. I agree. And he's probably going to come off the board pretty quickly. So, I would lean towards quarterback because you can't miss. This is what I say. You can't miss.
Right. If you pick quarterback and you go wrong, though,
then you're in trouble. Then you need to reevaluate your process altogether. Yeah. But Darnold is good enough to win some games. The defense is pretty good. So, he could be a bridge quarterback, possibly. But, the point is you got to go get a quarterback this year that you believe in and that you believe can be a franchise player. That's ultimately what matters is that you believe you can find a franchise quarterback in this draft, then you go get him.
And we don't think Matt Corral can be that?
I mean,
he was a 3rd-round pick last year.
Yeah, we don't know. He very well may be able to be a franchise guy, but I think it'd be better to have 2 franchise guys,
right? Good point.
Than to have none.
So I read something interesting. So I always read The Athletic and see what Joe Person writes, following the games and like to comment and interact on there as well. And somebody made a good point on there about how, and you and I have talked about how we missed out on Justin Herbert, and then we ended up getting Derek Brown, I think with the pick after that. And another guy I think that we've talked about is Justin Fields, who now that the Bears finally decided, okay, we're going to run an offensive scheme that fits his talents instead of just making them try to be a prototypical drop back pocket quarterback.
Right.
He's getting out there running the ball. He's playing really well. So somebody had made a point on there that they had seen people commenting that we should have gone at, instead of JC Horn last year, we could have gotten Justin Fields, because we picked Horn number 8, and I think Fields went 9 or 10. But then the same person said, what about Micah Parsons? I think he went with like the 11th or 12th pick. We passed him up. Could you imagine and JC Horn has been great, but can you imagine Micah Parsons and Brian Burns on the same defense?
Yeah, I mean, and and our defense is,
would that be more impactful than if we had gotten Justin Fields even long term for the franchise?
Long term for the franchise, nothing's more impactful than having a good quarterback, right?
But getting a guy like Kuechly, when we had Luke Kuechly, he was a difference maker, and Micah Parsons seems to be the type of a similar type player, and that he just wreaks havoc all over the field.
I agree. Kuechly, but he didn't play 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. And
8 years, 7 or 8 years.
And if you get a franchise quarterback, you're, aside from Andrew Luck, you're expecting at least 10 years out of him, which I guess we didn't quite get out of Cam. I don't know. I think
quarterback's the most important.
Quarterback's the most important position. And so if you think you can if Justin Fields is that guy, then cool. Definitely leaning quarterback when you're saying, versus any position, when you're saying if you got to get an impact player, which direction are you going? I'm going quarterback. I mean, so and Fields is affecting the game a lot for the Bears, or at least until he had to sit out this past week.
The NFL's, it's littered with number 1 overall draft picks, quarterbacks. Some who panned out, some who haven't.
You don't need to take them at 1. You mean first round?
Or first round and number 4, both. Both. Yeah, number 1 overall, but also first round. I'm thinking like Kyler Murray right now is really struggling.
He had a good game yesterday. He had a really good game.
Yeah, but overall, the Cardinals have not been playing as well as expected.
And again, it's hard. What do you attribute that to? It's hard to know, but Murray's definitely a talented guy. So, I don't worry about Kyler Murray. I feel like you could win some games with Kyler Murray. This is what I say. Do I think I could win a playoff game? And then do I think I can win a Super Bowl? And we could do that one day. We could go down a list and say, you win a playoff game with this guy, can you win a Super Bowl? And I think Justin Fields can win you a playoff game, right? Even if it's running. We saw Jalen Hurts had 150 running, 150 passing yesterday. Lamar does it.
I think Jalen Fields could win you a Super Bowl this year. Jalen Hurts, sorry, Jalen Fields. Jalen Hurts this year because of just the completeness of that team.
Exactly. And you add that into the formula, into the equation, like how good is the team around them, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that just brought up a mental image of a wheel, and you got the strength of the overall team. Remember the Seattle Seahawks, and they were really good, and they had the Legion of Boom defense.
Right.
And you had a young Russell Wilson, younger Russell Wilson, who should have been, a first-round draft pick. Looking back at how his career has been, he didn't get picked until the 3rd round.
Exactly.
So Seattle had they had cap space, they had room, they didn't have to throw as much money at them. So they had a more balanced wheel.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how the Eagles right now, they're a balanced team, and they got a quarterback who fit in there, who turns out is a really good quarterback.
Yeah, and he's always been a really good quarterback. I mean, he got benched for Tua, who is also a really good quarterback, but Hurts won everywhere he went.
Yeah.
So it's not like he
almost won the Heisman when he went to Oklahoma.
So it's nothing to sneeze at. And so, I mean, look, you don't have to get a quarterback first overall. You just need the right kind of character guy when you do draft, a guy with a head on squarely and focused. And you build a team, which we have a defense that is becoming championship caliber.
All right, real quick, because we're about out of time right now. ACC championship coming up this weekend, North Carolina versus Clemson. Who you got and why?
I'm a Carolina fan, so I got Carolina.
Let's go with the Heels, man.
Both limping in.
Yeah, both limping in.
If they're gonna put DJ,
terrible DJU. Oh my gosh, man, he's the worst quarterback in. I don't know if he's the worst in Division I, but he's not playing very well.
Right.
Well, hey folks, everyone, thanks again for listening to our show. Be back again next week.
Yeah, see you guys then.
All right, peace.
Peace.
See you then.